Hey, 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 ACA. I'm Brooks, and I have the lovely Miss Aranza here, and we're going to talk about the human side of timeshare exit. Now, Aranza is the main voice and the number one person that leads our client services department here at ACA Group. And so I'm going to ask you, Aranza, just a few questions about what you experience and some of the clients that you deal with over your day to day and sometimes your month to month or year to year.
Mhm.
And then you just give us your answers and we'd love to hear about it.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. So the first question I have for you is what's the most emotional conversation that you've had with a client?
I would say the most emotional conversation I've had with a client was a few years ago. An elderly couple from Canada who had owned the timeshare ownership for over 30 years.
It's a long time.
It is a long time. And so they were convinced to go to an owner update meeting. And in this owner update meeting, the timeshare salesman convinced this elderly couple that by doing an upgrade on their paid in full timeshare contract, that it would benefit them and there would be more value in their timeshare ownership by doing this upgrade.
So you say owner update meeting, but then you said that they actually purchase more timeshare?
Correct. So in these owner update meetings, when someone has already owned and purchased a timeshare and there's no mortgage or loan attached to the ownership contract, they can then be convinced to go to an owner's update meeting to
Update them, right? Like to tell them
the tune of
about their timeshare?
updating them. Exactly.
Okay.
And
New
in this
benefits or
and in this owner update meeting, they're convinced by the timeshare resort, the timeshare salesman, that by doing an upgrade to their contract, they're going to receive benefits and more value out of their timeshare ownership by doing this upgrade. And by doing this upgrade, they also convince these timeshare owners to now throw themselves into now a loan or a mortgage associated with their now new timeshare contract. So out with the old contract, in with a new contract that will now associate you with now a loan or a mortgage if you don't decide right then and there in that owner update meeting
so
that you can pay that off.
new loan,
New loan.
contract. Now they're in debt again.
Yes.
Got it. And these and how old were these folks?
I would say they were over the age of 70.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
When they upgraded, they were over the age of 70.
Correct. And this
Mm.
couple had two children. I believe one was a doctor. The other one had their own business. And before their owner upgrade meeting, where they did upgrade their timeshare contract, they did express that their children did not want the timeshare ownership. So in this owner update meeting, they were convinced by the timeshare salesman that by doing this upgrade, their children would now find value in this timeshare ownership. And the sad reality of it is after the vacation's over and they come home, they get the new bill with that monthly payment for that mortgage, and they realize their children still don't want the timeshare contract. And now they're calling us at ACA Group looking for help out of a financial predicament that they put themselves into.
Wow. That sounds pretty sad, especially with them being 70 years old.
Yeah.
And going against their kids' wishes and purchasing the timeshare, adding more timeshare to their ownership to then come to find out that their kids do not want the timeshare still.
Correct. And the emotional part of the conversation, because you asked me earlier, what's the most emotional conversation that I've had?
Mm-hmm.
And the emotional part was when I was able to call these clients and let them know that the attorneys who represented them through this cancellation were able to get them a settlement and release agreement between the owners and the developers and that contract. And by getting them that settlement offer, we were able to release them from a loan that was over $50,000, which they could not afford on a fixed income, as you and I both know, being elderly, over 70 years old.
Absolutely. I mean, $50,000 is a lot of money for people who only make a certain amount.
And the timeshare salesmen don't care what the financial predicament or burdens that come with.
What were their response when you actually called them and told them, hey, you guys are finally free? What did they say? How did they react?
They were in shock because they had dealt with other companies who promised them that they were going to be able to see them out from underneath the timeshare contract, to no avail. And so to be able to call these clients and show them that there's actual documental proof that their attorneys were able to accomplish the goal that we had set out when they hired us, and that is to get out legally and permanently from their timeshare contract. And they cried. So the husband is actually the one on the phone who cried to be able to say, I'm out from underneath this financial burden.
I'm actually a crier myself, so I could picture myself being in their situation. I'd probably be the one crying too. So I'm sure it felt amazing, though, even though you made him cry, that it was a good cry. Like he was able to express himself and feel the release of no longer owning $50,000 and owning a timeshare that he's going to have to give to his kids, whether they want it or not. I know for sure I'm crying when I get that news.
You bring up a good point. A lot of these timeshare contracts, which actually was part of this contract for these clients, a lot of these timeshare contracts, these owners are unaware that there's actually a perpetuity clause to the contract, which means that this contract will then transfer in your estate to your next of kin, whoever inherits your estate. And so those maintenance fees that are due every year to every timeshare owner, that can go up anywhere between 8 to 12% every year, and they do, they no longer have to worry about passing that burden of that annual maintenance fee to their children when they pass away.
So it's no longer just a lifetime commitment for the timeshare owners themselves, the parents, but when they pass away, it's a financial commitment for their next of kin, meaning their kids or anybody that's going to basically benefit from inheriting their estate.
100%.
Wow. Thank you for answering that question. That was definitely an emotional conversation for sure. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. And that would be, how do you comfort someone who feels hopeless or embarrassed by purchasing a timeshare?
That's a great question. If we're using the same example with this couple, the embarrassing factor of getting into a timeshare contract is the fact that when you're in that room, in that 90-minute presentation, nobody walks into a timeshare resort thinking, I want to be a timeshare owner. That never happens. Typically, you get some sort of an incentive to walk into that room and sit through a 90-minute presentation where they present to you something that sounds like a financial investment. And for the average American, I would say the idea of being able to pass down something of value to your children or to a grandparent, when a timeshare salesman says to you, this is going to bring value to your kids and your grandkids, that's one heartstring that I think a lot of people have a hard time saying no to, right? Who doesn't want to see their children inherit something of value? But the scary and sad thing and reality of timeshare ownership, the reality of it is that it really truly isn't an investment. And that's where we find a lot of timeshare owners are contacting ACA Group to legally and permanently see them out from underneath these contracts, because
And I'm sure that's like a huge step for them immediately, like just with the fact knowing that I bought something that I thought was of value, and then come to find out whether maybe you can't use it, maybe you tried to resell it, maybe you tried to even give it to your family and nobody wanted it. So now you kind of have to swallow your pride as is and now go out there and look on how to give something away that you paid for. So that, I mean,
Correct.
as someone who is very proud of accomplishing things, and I mean anyone in general, you know, that's embarrassing. I would have to say that I would be embarrassed if I bought something and then found out that it was absolutely worthless.
And not only did you buy something that's, in our eyes, absolutely worthless, right? And I would say in the eyes of the thousands of people that we've helped from underneath their timeshare contract. But the fact of the matter is that not only does it not have value, but now in turn, you have to figure out a way how to get out of now a financial responsibility. And that is, if you didn't pay it off, you've got that mortgage loan balance that you have to pay every month to that resort.
And that's something also like what I've heard before, like timeshare debt is worse than a credit card. With a credit card, you can actually pay that off. But because you have maintenance fees that reestablish or renew every year, every other year, you're never going to be able to pay that off. And when you look at timeshare interest rates, they're high interest rates. You're looking at anywhere between 12% and higher.
Yeah, I've
On
seen
typical,
interest rates on these mortgages and these loans that these people get thrown into upwards of 18%.
so I would feel hopeless. So like I sign up with you guys at ACA Group, right? And I'm already embarrassed and I'm already now hopeless because like how am I going to get out of this financial albatross? How do you make me feel better? What do you do? What do you say to make me feel like you guys are the solution?
Here's the beautiful thing. We've been doing this a long time. We've been doing this over 6 years. We've helped over 20,000 people. I can officially say myself. I've seen the numbers. It's definitely over 20,000. I'd like to say it's over 30. We're going to work out the numbers. But the fact of the matter is we've helped thousands of people out from beneath their timeshare contracts. The way we've done so is through the knowledge that we gain every day, day in and day out, when we give the clients their congratulatory letters that come directly from the attorneys who have the knowledge of the industry of timeshare cancellation. The attorneys that we use are the best in the industry for timeshare cancellation, and they don't just do timeshare cancellation. They're very well versed in the ins and outs of real estate law, and we've analyzed the ins and outs of every single developer and resort of every contract that we've taken on. And that is why we're able to guarantee to our clients that we are going to see them out from underneath their timeshare contract. And we guarantee that because if we
It's a
can't,
great word, guarantee.
absolutely, because if we can't get them out, we're going to give them their money back. That's the promise that we make here at ACA Group. And I can tell you this with good faith. I've been with the company 4 years, and I have never once seen ACA Group have to give a client back their money that they've paid to get out of this due to the fact that we were unable to legally and permanently cancel their timeshare contract.
That's amazing. So really it's just the biggest factor is the experience that the attorneys have, your knowledge and experience of working with thousands of clients, and the cherry on the top really is that we're going to guarantee you 100% of your money back if we can't get you out of your timeshare. So I know for sure myself, if I was someone who was concerned because I feel like I've already been scammed, I would feel a lot better, definitely a lot more hope knowing that I'm not at any risk because I know that if you can't help me, that I'm going to get my money back. But in reality, I'm working with the best of the best when it comes to the attorneys and including the staff of ACA Group.
And I wanted to mention, you're right. And I wanted to mention that, one of the fears that people have is the fact that they've already paid other companies to get out of their contracts, right? They've done their research or they're doing their research and they can't figure out how to get out from underneath the timeshare contract. And so one of the major benefiting factors of talking to a company like ACA Group is the fact that you don't have to do the hope and pray method, is what I call it. Hoping that if I pay ACA Group, like I did some other company to get me out from underneath my timeshare contract, I'm going to sit and I'm going to pray that however much time is going to go by, I'm going to get out from underneath this thing. Thousands of dollars, whatever the case may be. And so that for me is in itself the guarantee for our clients. It's the proof in the pudding, I believe.
It's amazing. Yeah, again, I think everything that you've said, I mean, just builds a bunch of hope and also helps ease that beginning embarrassment. So thank you so much for elaborating deeply into that question. I do have just one more question for you. I know you're extremely busy, so I'm going to ask you just one more question. I'm going to let you get back to helping people out of their timeshares. Um, what's the best part of your job with ACA Group?
I would say obviously seeing the promise that we're making these consumers that get into these timeshare situations, being able to give them the good news that is your timeshare free.
Freedom, that they get freedom,
Freedom.
the American way.
Absolutely.
Love that. Well, Arantxa, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your super busy schedule. I know you probably have some clients that you need to speak with that love to hear your voice and want to get that reassurance from you. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today. And thank you guys for listening and watching. And until next time at ACA Answers.